Good morning. I am coming to you from the Collab Lab in beautiful Ventura, California, where we're blocks from the ocean. So I just wanted to walk us through a simple mat class, prop-free, that we can do anywhere. So let's go ahead and get started. We're gonna just start by thinking about our feet. So let's spread our toes out, get a little pressure on each of our toes. Feel a little bit of pressure in our heels on the inside, outside. A little tiny bit of softness in the knees. And go ahead and take that belly button and just pull it into your spine. So let's start by taking some breaths. We're gonna breathe in through our nose, and we're gonna blow it out through our mouth. So think all the air in and then push all that air out while keeping that little pressure on your feet and keeping this belly button pulled into your spine. On this next inhale, let's go ahead and inhale through our nose. We're just gonna pull our shoulders up as we exhale through our mouth, push back and all the way down. Still holding all of our positions. And on this next one, let's go ahead and just take it down the front of our legs, all the way down to the front of our ankles. We can go ahead and hang down for a second. Feel how good it feels just to hang down, let your shoulders, your neck, everything fall to that mat. And then we'll just start slowly rounding our way up, restacking the spine one vertebrae at a time till we're all the way to the top. We'll do that shoulder roll, inhale, exhale back and down, and we're sliding right back down the front of the legs. On this next one, let's go ahead and just lift all the way to the top. So we'll just slide up the front of our body, slowly restacking that spine. And then we're gonna inhale, lift all the way up. Exhale, we're gonna fold down, flat back, then we'll round and roll it up. And on this next one, let's go ahead, we'll inhale, lift, and we'll just hold on top. So let's bring our hands together. We're gonna do some little crown circles. So we'll tilt, bring it to the front, inhale, and we can exhale back and around. Just go wherever you feel comfortable. Remember, stay in a comfortable range of motion. Remember to breathe. Remember to keep the pressure on your toes and keep that belly button pulled in. Let's reverse the direction of these little crown circles. Inhale back, exhale forward. And we'll go ahead, bring it to the front, and then we can just lower our hands back down. Maybe shake that out for a second. So we're gonna keep our feet in this parallel position. We're just gonna replant those toes. I'm just gonna take a seat. I'm gonna pretend there's a wall behind me, and I'm gonna slide down that wall. Inhale, take a seat. Exhale, lift, and just push the palms behind you. So when I say a wall, think about that arc in the back. Try to give a little bit of a tuck to that tailbone so that you have kind of a flat spine. And we'll push back, open the chest. Let's go ahead and add a little lift to this. So we're gonna lift up off the heels, take it all the way back down. So as you lift, think spread the toes out. Try to keep those ankles in line. You don't want them to bow out to the sides. Nice and strong, even if you're just lifting up a little bit. On this next one, we're just gonna hold and balance for a second, spread those toes out, and we're gonna pulse up. So try to keep those ankles in line. We're just gonna go up, 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 little up, up, up. We'll do 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and lower. Let's go ahead and take that seat again. We're just gonna go a little bit up and a little bit down. Little pulses, and we'll do 3, 2, and 1, and let's go ahead and lift. And we can just kind of shake that out a little bit. So let's go ahead, we're gonna stagger our stance, so one leg forward, one leg back, and we're gonna have both of our toes pointed forwards. So let's take this back heel, push it down, and kind of try to keep that heel down on the mat. We're gonna inhale, we're gonna pull it forward, exhale back. So this is calf lengthening, so it's all about this calf back here. So we don't need to lift with the arms or the chest. We want it to stay nice and even with our body, and we're just lengthening out this back calf here. We can inhale forward, exhale, pull it back. We're going to do about 7 of these. We're going to go ahead, we're going to bring it forward, we'll hold the lunge, keep that heel pushing back. We're just going to kind of even the hips out, and let's inhale, lift, exhale, lower down. Think about those shoulders for a second, kind of push them down, make sure they're not lifting up to your shoulders. On this next lift, let's lift and hold, and we're just going to do a little side tilt. So we can bring our hands together, and we'll just tilt to one side. And we can inhale, exhale, pull all the way to the other side. Keep it nice and slow. Work on that balance. And let's go ahead and just bring it to the center. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to scoop and lift. And as we lift, take this hip and just kind of push it forwards. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. We'll just do one more, and we'll lift. So let's go ahead, let's take the weight into this front leg here. We can take our hands to our hips, and we're gonna go ahead, we're just gonna lift this back leg and lower. Use your hands on your hips to watch this hip, make sure it's staying even with the other hip. We're gonna do about 7 of these, and then we're gonna lift, and we're just gonna hold it here. We'll do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and let's bring it down. So even if you just lift a little bit with this, think about this is really a balancing exercise. So our goal is to really take this standing foot and kind of learn how to use it to hold our balance. So even if we're just a little bit off the floor, or we could just put our toe down, just work on stabilizing this front leg and really using it to balance. So we're going to come back into our lunge. We'll take our hands to our hips. We're just going to lower and lift. We're gonna go ahead and do that little range of motion. We're gonna come down, hold it for a second, a little bit up, a little bit down. Just do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Lift, and let's go ahead and just fold and just melt down for a second. All right, let's go ahead and we're gonna turn over to the other side. So we'll start out just kind of getting our position, getting our toes pointed forward, getting this back heel lined up and glued down. And then we'll just start, we're gonna inhale, pull it forward, lengthen this back calf, and then exhale back. Remember, don't lean forwards with your hands or your chest. Just think about calf lengthening. Inhale and exhale. On this next one, let's go ahead, bring it forward into the lunge. Inhale, lift, exhale, lower. Remember to just kind of keep the shoulders down. Make sure they're not lifting up to our ears. As we lift up, just push them all the way down. Inhale and exhale. Good. Let's think about our belly button for a second. Pull it into your spine. Push this hip forward, nice even hips. And let's go ahead and lift. And we're going to do our little side tilt so we can bring our hands together. And we'll just tilt to one side. Inhale, exhale to center. Tilt to the other side. Inhale, exhale to center. Good. Let's go ahead and do our little, we're going to scoop and lift. Inhale down. There we go. So let's go ahead. We're going to bring our weight into this right leg now. We'll spread those toes out. And we'll go ahead. We're just going to lift and lower. But again, just as much as you feel comfortable. So if you're only comfortable holding it, little lift, big lift. The most important thing is that our hips are even and you're working on balancing work on the standing foot. Good. On this next one, let's go ahead, hold, lift and hold. We'll do 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's lower back into that lunge. Hands are still on the hips. We're just going to lower and lift. And let's go ahead and do that little half range of motion. Little up, little down. We have 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lift and let's fold down. And just bring your chest down to that top leg. And just let yourself kind of relax here for a second. So when you're ready, let's go ahead and just turn. And we'll walk it into the center. So now we're in second position. And we're just going to go ahead, roll our way up. And let's finish that with a shoulder roll. Let's go ahead and we're just going to slide our hand down our leg, lift and slide down the other way. Good. So think about as you're tilting over, instead of just kind of collapsing into that side, think about creating length. So we're going to kind of lift and then fold. We'll just do a couple of those. We'll go ahead, come to the center. Let's take our hands back to our hips. And we're just gonna slide back down that wall. And you can use your hands on your hips to kind of watch that arc in the back. We want a little bit of a neutral spine. We don't want it all the way flat, but we also don't want a big arc there. Let's do about 3 more of these. Think about the hip opening. Just let your hips open, sit into it, and then we can lift. Good. Let's go ahead. We're going to come down. We're going to hold it down here. And let's go ahead. We're just going to try to lift that right heel up a little bit and lower, keeping everything else nice and even. We're going to do about 5 of these. I think 1 more is 5, and I'll switch to the other side. And 1 more. And we're going to lower and lift a couple more times. So let's go ahead. We're going to take the left hand off of our hip, and I'm going to bring my straddle a little closer together. So I'm going to take it down. Inhale. Exhale. I'm going to reach up, 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 and over. We'll take it up, back down. Inhale. Exhale. Up, 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 and over. We're just reaching, a little side tilt, and back down. And let's just do 1 more to each side. Maybe melt a little bit further, get a little further into that stretch. And then we'll take it to the other side, up and over. Ahead. And let's just heel toe those feet back together and kind of walk that out a little bit. And I'm just going to do a little bit of prancing, really walk those ankles out, but still try to keep them in line. Let's just do about 10 seconds of this. We'll do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Let's lower, let's fold. And let's roll up. All right, so let's go ahead and we're going to come down to our mat and we're going to get into some bridging. So we'll go ahead, we'll just start by kind of getting our position here on the mat. So we're going to bring our feet back so you could touch your fingertips with your heels, and our knees are right over our feet. So let's just start with some of our pelvic rocks. We're going to take this little space in between our back and the mat. We're going to go ahead and lift it up on an inhale. Exhale, push it all the way down. Kind of take your pelvic bowl, flip it towards you, and then we can take that pelvic bowl and just spill it towards your heels. So just think about those lower vertebrae in your back, just kind of getting them moving independently of each other. Getting a little warm up in before we roll up into our bridge. So on this next one, let's go ahead and roll it up. We're going to start with the pelvic rock. We'll push our spine all the way down. And we'll just start to peel our tailbone up, lifting our hips all the way up to the ceiling. Really push a little bit of roundness. Inhale, exhale, slowly bring it down. Try to round to the top of that back. And then try to get the middle back to touch. Push it down, push that lower back down, and then finish with that pelvic bowl spilling towards your heels. So we'll start that over. We'll inhale. Exhale, go ahead and push this lower back down, spill that bowl towards us, start to peel the tailbone up, all the way up to the ceiling. Push those hips up, and then let's start to roll it down. Round that spine, round, round, round. Push that lower back down, push it down, and spill that pelvic bowl towards our heels. So let's just do a couple of those, keeping it nice and slow, focusing on that articulation. Think about your toes for a second. Push down on your big toe as you do this. So all the toes should have a little pressure, but give that big toe a little bit more pressure. Think about your shoulders for a second. Make sure they're not tense or lifting. Just push them down. You can either have your hands down here, or you can keep them here to just kind of feel that pelvic bowl spilling. So on this next one, I'm going to roll up. I'm going to hold the bridge. I'm just going to inhale, lower my bottom, exhale, lift the hips up. Inhale, lower, exhale, lift. And let's do about 7 of these, maybe 2 more. And we'll lower, we'll lift, and let's roll it down. Push that lower back down. Let's go ahead and just wave the knees side to side, work out that lower spine a little bit. And let's go ahead and bring our legs back to the center. So we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna step our legs into tabletop, but let's go ahead, before we start, we need to push our lower back all the way down and glue it onto the mat. So we're just gonna step one leg into tabletop, take it all the way down, and then step the other leg into tabletop. Sounds easy enough, but you should start to feel it right in your lower belly. Let's do a couple more of these. Just really focus on pushing that back down, keeping everything else nice and stable, and just think about like a little hinge at your hip. Moving up and down, and then we're gonna go ahead, we're gonna lift, we'll hold that into tabletop. We're gonna use that little hinge of the hip, we're gonna keep that lower back pushing down, and let's just dip down maybe about 6 inches. So, yeah, about 6 inches. So it's not a huge lower, and you don't want that lower back to lift as you lower. So if you lower and you start to feel it in your lower back, and your lower back is lifting up like this, just limit your range of motion. We don't have to go down very far. Even if we just go down like 2 inches and lift. The most important part is just getting all of your positioning right, keeping that lower back, pushing down on the mat. That will build the lower belly muscles. We're going to do about 7 of these too, and then we're going to go ahead, we're going to dip, push the lower back down, and hold. We'll just do 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's go ahead and we'll just take that down. So let me shake that out for a second, and we'll go ahead and switch to the other side. So go ahead, take that other leg into tabletop, shins flat to the ceiling, lower back's pushing down, and a little dip. So kind of take note how it feels. Did it feel different on the left side than it does on the right side? I know for me, on my right side, I have a hip that likes to pop out of its socket, so I really try to limit my range of motion here. I just go a little bit down and a little bit up, and I really focus on just pushing that lower back down, because this doesn't have to be a huge lower. We don't gain anything by taking it all the way down. feel like that's probably about 7. So let's drop our leg, push that lower back down. Let's just hold 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. And let's go ahead and pull both of our knees in. And we're just going to stir our femur bones around in their sockets. Just move them around a little bit. And let's reverse the direction. I always have to reverse the direction. So we're going to bring both of our legs to tabletop now. Shins are flat to the ceiling, and now we really are going to push that lower back down. But we're going to do some chest lifts now. So we're going to take our hands behind our head. So I want the elbows nice and wide. We're going to take our eyes up to the ceiling, and we're going to do a little lift straight up to the ceiling and down. So think about your head in your hands for a second. So instead of taking your hands, you could take your hands and pull up your head like this, but this is not what we want to do. We want to actually take our elbows wide and think about your head as a little bit of a counterweight. So lift up, cradle your head, and actively push your head back into your hands, and then look up. We're going to push the lower back one more time, and lift and lower, using your head as a little bit of a counterweight. You only have to do a tiny little movement. And after a couple of these, you should start to feel your abs fire up. I know I definitely do. Let's do about 3 more. 3 and 2. On 1, we're going to lift and we're going to hold it here. So hold, push that head back, and we're just going to bicycle our legs. So if you go too low, you might start to feel it in your lower back, but it's also really great ab work if you go a little bit lower. But if that's a little too much on your lower back, then just kind of bring those legs up a little bit. Or you can kind of walk it down, and then give yourself a little break, walk it back up. Walk it down, push that lower back down, and lift. If you feel any pain in the lower back here, you could always, grab a little blanket or something, stick it under your tailbone, and give a little bit of back support. Or you could also limit your range of motion, just keep it up here. So let's reverse this bicycle. Now we're gonna drive this bicycle backwards. Let's go ahead and do 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1, and take it down. Ooh, I know I felt that in my abs. All right, let's do a little spine twist, kind of work this out a little bit. We'll come back to tabletop. We'll take our hands out to a T, still pushing that lower back down. We're just gonna move maybe about a foot off in one direction. Inhale, exhale, pull it back to center, and then we'll twist the other way. Inhale, twist, exhale, pull it back. So if you want, we can add on to this. Let's add a little extension, just optional. We'll extend, pull it back to center. We'll bend, we'll twist, we'll extend, and center. Try to keep that lower back really nice and strong. And I'm just going to do one more to this side, and then I'm going to go ahead, pull it to the center. I'm going to go ahead and point both of my toes to the ceiling, and I'm just going to draw little circles, maybe about the size of like a little volleyball. So not huge. Think about using your abs to pull the legs around. Kind of like a little circular motion right in your core. And let's go ahead, reverse the direction. And we can bring it back to center and just pull those knees in for a second. Just take a deep breath. So let's go ahead. We're gonna come back into our bridging position, and we're just gonna do a little bit of a shoulder bridge here. So this is we don't have to do the full shoulder bridge. I'll show you a modification, but this is one of Joseph Pilates' original moves. So let's go ahead and give it a try. Let's go ahead, we're gonna start by rolling up into our bridge. We're gonna just go ahead, plant those feet, maybe move them in a little bit. So we just want to take our shoulders and kind of tuck them under. So think about just bringing your shoulder blades together, rounding that chest out, and pushing your hips up to the ceiling. So you can kind of have your hands right here, keep it mellow, or for a full shoulder bridge like Joseph Pilates would do, we have to get our hands all the way under here. And now our chest is really rounded. And we're just gonna kind of hold this for a second. Don't forget about the toes. Let's think about the big toe. Push that big toe down, which I know for me, as soon as I push that big toe, I immediately feel it in my inner thighs. It kind of makes my inner thighs light on fire. So let's just hold this a couple more seconds. And again, it's wherever you feel comfortable in your body. Everybody has their own journey. That's what's so nice about Pilates. It's really a practice. We don't have to be perfect. Every day is different. Ooh, okay, that's enough for me. So I'm gonna take my hands out nice and gently, kind of pull my shoulders down, and I'm gonna slowly bring it down. Ooh, and I'm gonna pull my knees in and just kind of round that out for a second. Maybe take a little side to side. So I want to do a little bit of a roll over here. So we're going to start by lifting our legs up. We can kind of cross our legs, one foot in front of the other. So as we do this roll over, we're going to bring our weight into kind of our middle to top back, but not in your top back and not in your neck. So we can start, we're going to take our legs and we're going to start to try to move them towards us. So we come in, and then we're going to go ahead and kind of lift that tailbone up. Our back is in a C curve, and then we're going to try to lift these legs up. And again, the most important part is not putting your weight in your neck or your upper back. Keep it right where your shoulder blades are. And then we're going to round, and roll this down. And if you don't feel comfortable with a full rollover, we can modify that. You can, just a little lift and lower. A little lift and lower. And let's just do a couple on each side and then switch the cross of your legs and do a couple with that cross. So whichever way you started. And again, just wherever you feel comfortable. We don't have to be, standing on our heads to get the benefits of Pilates. And I'll just do one more. And slowly come down. And we're gonna roll like a ball. So let's just round our back, wrap our hands around our shins, and we'll just roll maybe about 5 times. Ooh, this is where I like to double up my back because the floor is kind of a little hard. So, all right, so now we are up. So let's go ahead and let's do a little bit of full body work. So let's go ahead, we're gonna come to all fours. So we're gonna start by getting our position. If your knees hurt at all, you can either double the mat or you can grab a little yoga blanket and throw it under your knees, which is always nice to have around. So let's start out We're just gonna take this right hand and we're gonna lift and lower. So the goal with this is to get everything centered. So as you lift that arm, don't let your body change. Don't let that arm lift. Don't let this shoulder over here collapse. Try to keep everything nice and stable. Belly button's pulled in. Your head is in line with the rest of your spine. Watch that it doesn't sag down or extend up. And we're just gonna lift and lower. And really think about this shoulder over here as well. Try not to have all the weight and the work coming from the shoulder. Really the work with this little lift and lower is just working on trying to get everything centered. Keep it in your core, keep it out of that shoulder. Let's go ahead, switch to the left side. Same thing, kind of get everything centered first. And then we'll just lift and lower. Let's go ahead and lower that down. Let's go ahead and we're going to start with the right leg. We're going to keep the bend in the knee and we're just going to lift and lower. Again, trying to keep the hips even. So little lift, little lower. So the work is in keeping the pressure in both hands even, keeping all the weight right in your center. Trying to keep a flat back here. We don't want too much arc in the back, so pull that belly button in. And it doesn't have to be perfect. You could always limit the range of motion, keep it small. I think all of our movements in Pilates are kind of slow, deliberate movements. We want our moves to be perfect. I don't care if we only do 3 or 2 of them, I just want them to be done the right way. And that is really helpful because we don't want to get hurt when we do this. We want to feel good. We want this to make our body feel good and better. So let's go ahead, we're going to open that leg up to the side. Again, trying to keep the hips even, trying to keep that even pressure. And we're going to transition this. We're going to go up, all the way back and down the center. Remember to breathe. We can inhale as we lift and exhale back and around. And we're just going to do 7 of these, so I feel like that's probably about 7. And let's take that leg down. Ooh, let's shake that out for a second. Maybe just bring that back. Round back up. All right, so let's go ahead and we're gonna do the other side. So we're just gonna start with that leg, keep the bend in the knee, and we're just gonna lift and lower. One more for 7, lift and lower, and we're gonna take it to the side. Remember to breathe. So think about your shoulders again. Now's the time where we kind of start to feel it in our shoulders a little bit. So try to move it out of there. Move the work. So that's part of the practice, is learning how to move the work from, your arms, your shoulders, everything, move it into your center. As Joseph Pilates would say, move it into your powerhouse. So let's transition. We're going to do those little circles. We're going to lift up, inhale, exhale, back and down. Good. And let's go ahead and take it down. Ooh, and just just remember it doesn't have to be perfect. Mine aren't perfect. Just, it's a work in progress. Let's go ahead and walk our hands to one side and just give ourselves a little side stretch for a second. And we're gonna walk it to the other side. And we'll come back to center, and we're just gonna roll this up and shake it out. All right, so let's go ahead. We are just gonna go ahead and we're gonna finish with a forward fold. It's always my favorite way to finish just because it feels so nice to just give yourself a couple more seconds, let yourself hang down, let all the weight come off of your head and your shoulders and everything. So let's start. We'll plant the feet. We'll inhale, lift. Exhale, fold it all the way down. And let's just let ourselves hang down here. Let your shoulders, everything's falling down into the mat. We can, if you want, we can kind of bend our knees slightly, get a little bit of a twist in the hips. All right, so when you are ready, let's go ahead and just slowly start to roll our way up. So nice and slow. Slowest person to the top wins. Ooh, a lift. I'm gonna roll my shoulders back one more time. And just kind of shake that out. All right, so we are done. That was, just a little no prop mat class from our Collab Lab in Ventura, California. So come check us out. All right, thanks.